Hello, I'm back to Golden Arrow. Yeah. Alright, so last episode we ended up getting stuck on one puzzle. And that was the entire episode. Just me getting stuck on puzzle number 7. Street 5, yeah. So, I don't know if I should keep going with this, or if I should just skip on to level 8 and come back to 7 when I can. I don't think I've ever skipped any levels before, so let's hope that we don't have to do that right now. Maybe I'm in a bit more of a clear state of mind when I'm doing this. We got a couple interesting ideas last episode, but in general, the difficulty was still figuring out exactly what went where. Which arrows are down here in these 4 holes and which one's up there in that one. So it definitely seems like a possible trick could be that this arrow doesn't actually get in here. It's another arrow that does so. So um, for example, I can simply just do this. All this arrow does fall past. It actually is possible to get. Actually, this might be a problem as well. Okay, hold on. Let me think about this. Let me think about this for a second here. Huh, it might actually be not. No, it definitely will be possible. So while this arrow does fall past, I can actually push down this arrow and instead use this arrow here to be the one that actually fits in there, which means that this arrow can now do things. And so one of the difficulties we had in the last puzzle was that, well, if this block here ever got pushed down to this point, it completely breaks these two arrows, these two holes here. Nothing can get in there because this would cover those two holes in any situation, and you can't lift this block back up. So therefore, it is definitely true that we need to fill up these two holes before this even has any chance of being able to be pushed down. Yes, I would say that. I would say that. Now, the difficulty from that is that if I were to try and get you to be able to fill in these holes, it doesn't feel possible. Whoa. Oops. Alright, so, sorry. Train of thought. Where in the world is my train of thought? Also, what's the music? Hey, there it is. There you go. Is the music a bit loud? I feel like the music's a bit loud. That seems better. Okay, so again, the difficulty was that this arrow actually found it quite hard to fit in one of these two holes. Because it could only ever get into one of these 3 spots. So, like, it just felt like it could never actually cross this gap here. Which felt necessary. It feels like, you know, it feels like crossing that gap is necessary. But it's not possible. So I'm thinking that, what if it were this arrow here that falls down? Is that ever plausible? I think the answer is maybe. Maybe. But then we also have to deal with this arrow over here. These two arrows are actually fairly challenging to get down here without pushing this arrow down. Not arrow, this block down. Like, there is one final trick that I can think is useful. And that trick is something that looks like this. A trick that we got fairly late in the last episode, but yes, you can have these two get in here together. And you can do stuff. You know? There's obviously going to be some problems. Or maybe not. Like, obviously, this is fine, almost. But your next problem is that how do you ever get an arrow up there? It's just like, because this arrow is so far stuck down here, and because this block is also in the way, it's actually really hard to get that block out of the way. Yeah, it actually is really hard to get that block out of the way. So if you really did want to get that block out of the way, you'd have to push it here, here. And then the other difficulty is how you're gonna get this to be pushed down here. Like, it just doesn't feel easy anymore afterwards. There are other tricks that you can sort of try and pull off, but a lot of them just don't work. A lot of them just no longer work. Like, if you got these blocks to be moved in this particular arrangement, you can actually make it through here, which gives you, it gets you a bit closer, but nowhere near close enough. The entire idea is that you're gonna have to want this arrangement where it's just one block here and then 3 blocks here. But I find that really hard to pull off as well, because if you see where this arrangement of blocks comes from, it came from the fact that I could enter this area. But if I try to flip it on the other side, I can never enter this area. So like, it's really hard to actually get 3 blocks on one side and 1 block on the other, as I wish. Like, I don't quite see how that's available right now. I mean, I was thinking like, you know, if I could somehow maybe get in here, but I don't think there's a possibility of that. I mean, in theory, you could push like this. And then like a bunch of random stuff happens, and then, you know, it's you just get very stuck afterwards. So like, this is all just speculation at this point. I cannot figure out how to get through this though. I don't know if there's a real way to like figure out if I can do anything here. I feel like the final setup that I got to, where it's this row with the long block and the 3 wide block, is correct, I think. It's just hard to pull off afterwards. It's just, yeah. And then the 4 block is also a problem. The 4 block really can't get down into here because of this wall here. So like, unless the 4 block and the 3 block manage to switch positions, it's also going to be really challenging to get the 4 block down. And even if it did, then we would be stuck. So no, I would say that's probably not it. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this though. Like, I don't know. There's just too many variables at play that even if I went to run through all the possibilities, we'll be here forever. Okay, so alright, let's think about this. If somehow this block were to fall past and I had to use this block over here, I would say it would have to look something like this, right? It would have to be this 3 long block that gets pushed up along with it. Doesn't that necessitate this block being down in this row? I think it does. So if we would ever use that as an idea, then you can never actually have anything... there has to be a point where this block does get pushed down. And we do know that before that happens, you must have these 2 be filled. But before these 2 get filled, I think it's also necessary that one of the outside ones get filled as well to push any arrows through. I think. And the reason why is because if you were to look at this block over here, again, for the exact same reason, you can never push it in a way where an arrow can fall directly through. I think the best you can do is actually here, where it falls onto this ledge and then you can push it in. But in that case, we'll be saving this arrow. This arrow no longer needs to fall here. Instead, it can fall here. But that's the other problem. Is because the only way to start this, I think, is definitely to get this arrow down here. You have to push an arrow push the stack left or right to get it out, right? So it's either like this, which definitely fails because of this arrow, or the other way around, which will definitely lead to this arrow being here. So in that case, it kind of is really pointless to have this be open. In fact, this gets this block stuck as well, which is another reason why this shouldn't happen. So are we therefore saying that these two arrows need to be filled in after this arrow? So you have to get 3 arrows down here first. And which 3 arrows is it? And suppose I did get 3 arrows here. I think maybe we'll just work on that. Let's try working on that. Again, 3 arrows in the gaps. Ow. I mean, it looks like to get this arrow down, you have to stick these 2 blocks together. If you don't stick the 2 blocks together and you put something in between as a buffer, then this stack becomes way too long for it to get in here and push out. But then don't we get another issue? Which is that now that these blocks are stuck together, the next free arrow is this one. And it's the only other free arrow. These 2 arrows are not free. They can never be free. Like, yeah, then stuff gets stuck here. And still, because this block is not filled, this hole is not filled, you can never push down. And then we just get like a lot of questionable things happening. Again, this is the next best thing I can see that we can do. I can do that. Wait, that's really interesting. Have I done that before? I think this is only available because this arrow is gone. Oh. Yeah, in which case, there's still a problem. Right? Is there a problem? If this arrow was... Sorry, not if this arrow. If this long block was significantly more out of the way, there will be a hole here that something can be pushed through. Isn't there? There would be a hole. This is a bad move. But I can do that to get in through here. Okay, that looks... very iffy. Yeah, that looks really iffy. Hold on. Okay. See if I can try and... Oh, that is so iffy. That is so nonsensical. Yeah, that just doesn't really look very good. It looks like progress. But again, because we can't push this down, we're still stuck. The only playable variables here are this block and that arrow. And that's it. And this push gets us stuck. And I can't even push back up because of the arrow itself. That's why it looks bad. So this is just really bad, like completely, it actually gets us like 100% stuck. So I can't actually do anything else after this because like we are ignoring that fact here. And I couldn't have pushed this anywhere else to begin with, right? This looks close, it looks different from what we've done before. Which may or may not be a good thing. Like, I suppose... Okay, I suppose... Hold on. If I had you be here... Maybe I can do something. Maybe... I can get you... Oh wait, I have a better idea... Or do I? This push is bad. I was kind of thinking of getting you, like, over here or something. But then that gets us stuck. Right? Yeah. So that basically did nothing to help us. If I... Okay, hold on. Hold on, okay, hold on. I have another idea. So this block goes here. If I pushed myself without this block here, yes, that would be space. Okay. And the reason why that doesn't work if I let this go here is that I can't get out because of this block itself. Okay. But if I was there in between the 4 long block and the arrow, then I can exit like that. That looks kind of good actually. That looks really good. I can do the trick that I did before now. And I think... Ooh, we might have a last issue here. Nope, I can use myself. Push up. Wow, alright. That was certainly a level. Okay. Alright, give me a second here. I had to clear my nose. I don't know what it was entirely about that level that was kind of special. This level felt really special. Not because it was just difficult, but like... I don't know. Today I just went down a different path than I ever did. And I'm not sure how I ever missed that path. Or if maybe I was a bit too preoccupied with the other paths to notice that this path existed. Did I require some sort of foresight to figure out that this path was the best one out of all my options? Or like, was I meant to look through my options and figure out which was the best one? And it just so happened that I looked through a bunch of wrong options before stumbling upon the correct one today. Is that what the author wanted? Or did the author have some sort of logical process in mind that would have allowed me to come to this solution a lot faster? I think I did a lot of like the logical reasoning already. The fact that this is the only first move, the fact that I could, you know, move this around and then like sort of shuffle back up here. That's not really a logical deduction, but it's more of like a tool that I can use. So I guess that was like maybe it's a combination of those solving techniques. Yeah, like it's a bunch of solving techniques involving both logical deductions on what you can do and then using tools which you've discovered bit by bit. Interesting. I would definitely have put this like as at a much later point in the world because like this feels hard. This feels boss-like, I would say. Although maybe I will be completely stood corrected because of the next few levels. Alright, let's keep moving on here. We do have some time, so let's keep playing. Feeling blue. Feeling blue. Okay. That is bad because I can't push up. However, if I were to keep holding on to this downward movement, then I can't push up at all. Okay, I see what that means. Maybe I want this block to be all the way here. And then the arrow's on top. Right? Look, if I had this move, I could have this block be here. I could then push this up and get in, and then push the entire thing up there. Okay. So that is perhaps the goal. I believe that's why this 2 block is not useful. This 2 block would not let me push up. So the goal is to get 1 block all the way over. I do notice that this is a valid move, so theoretically we could hide you somewhere else for now. It gives me the idea of being able to push this block in. Ooh, okay. Yeah, how about this? Hope you get out of the way. And then you go here, and then we do the shuffle. Really? 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 What? Come on. This after level 7? Really? Alright, sure. That felt very similar to a level we've done before, I think. Also, I just saw a car. Sacred Temple, level 9. Yeah, this felt very similar, but this was harder. So like, I don't know about the ordering the levels here, really. But you know what? Sure. I'll take an easy one. I'll definitely take an easy one. Alright, let's move on. Level 9. Roller skating. I see a roller skate here. Okay, well this is definitely already a failed attempt because... Yeah. Actually, have we ever seen this concept before? Where I push the arrow and something that holds the arrow at the same time. I feel like we've never actually seen this concept before, which is really strange to me. Interesting. Okay. What is the goal here? Well, besides the fact that I have to get the arrows there, is there a certain vision that I need to have? I suppose the idea is that if I could have these blocks form like a... Like this sort of shape. Ooh, I don't know if I like that or not. I want a 2x3, right? So I could just form a big block that can act as a long bridge. Okay. This feels okay. Okay, what about this? Is that a long bridge? I think it's a long bridge, but there might be issues with the long bridge because I can't push over to the right. Okay. Yeah, I think that might be an issue with the long bridge here. Okay. So okay, if that is the case, what then? If I made a 2x3 here and I was like on the other side, I think it would be basically done. A 2x3 would solve this very well actually. Anything that's a flat surface of 3 would actually solve this very well. We do know that this push is necessary because... Oh, this block here is necessary because it needs to hold up this arrow as I push the entire setup. I can't push this down because if I did, I would get stuck. This up push looks fine though. And I suppose this move afterwards can already get us to that 2x3 shape. The problem is that how to get that arrow onto the top of it without losing my ability to get in there. That actually does look fairly challenging. Like if I had to guess... That actually is quite challenging. I don't even think I could like find a way to be in here and then lock up the block. Like I was thinking maybe I could have like 5/6 of that setup. Like if I could have this shape over here and then I went in here, settled some stuff and then locked it up using this final block here. Maybe I could have that setup be made, but even that looks a bit challenging. Yeah. Okay, one thing that I can figure out maybe I could do. While getting you here, a possible move would be to do this, which allows you to separate the arrows and get them out of that chassis. I wonder if that's useful. I really wonder if that's useful. I feel like that could be useful. Ah. What was that move, by the way? If I go here and I fall, and I undid. What? Wait, what? Hold on. Do that again? Up here, I push here, and I moved away. What would an undo theoretically do to me? An undo, which is done by the Z key, would have moved me here and the arrow on top of me, right? Oh, what? Yeah. Wait, what was the problem with that? Yeah, look at that. Oh, I know what's going on here. So, after the arrow falls, that counts as a completed turn. Therefore, when I undo, that move is successfully registered. However, if the fall hasn't occurred yet, so if the arrow is still in the middle of falling, that doesn't count as my turn being complete. It then sends you back to this move. So this is that turn that I'm currently on. This is the second turn, but because the arrow hasn't fallen yet, I'm currently technically still on this turn according to the game. Undoing would therefore lead me to this move. So by not finishing this fall, I get sent back to this. Okay. But that shouldn't have broken anything. It's just an extra undo. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Do I like this? This looks quite bad. I mean, I definitely can't push this way. Yeah, this looks quite bad. Okay. Whoa, that was a weird glitch. Well, not a weird glitch, but like the game passed it in a weird way that I didn't really understand. Okay. Roller skating, roller skating, roller skating. Let's see. I'm thinking, what if I could have something like this, and then the other arrow goes on top. So something like this. Well, then the difficulty is like I can't push to the right here. Yeah, I just cannot push to the right. Okay, could I have set this up to be somewhere else, maybe? Maybe if I set this entire setup to be like in the row to my left, in the column to my left, I could actually go through here and then... Okay, yeah, I can do that. That's a move. Okay. I don't know if this block is freeable or not. I do want to free this block because I need to get you out of the way. I need to be able to hold you with a block below here. Is this block freeable? Like, okay, maybe I have to do this. That doesn't free the block. It does prevent my need to use the block, but it doesn't free it in particular. Okay. What if I did this? That frees the block. It frees the block, but then we meet the same problem as we did before. Wait, I can't push over. Okay, what if I just separated you guys? And I did one normal pushover first. And I came back for the arrow on a second pass. Well, then there's a problem, right? This arrow, won't this arrow... Hold on. Let me think about this. What do I want here? I want to be able to pull you out first. Okay, so I want to be able to do this first. But of course, I want to be able to free this guy. That's another issue. This, can this be pulled out here? I feel like it could be. So like, in theory, I could technically... let's get you out of the way first. I'll just get everything out of the way first. Oh, no, I can't pull you out from there. Okay, no. So it really does just feel like this pull is necessary. But why? But that pull just sucks, doesn't it? Okay. I have another idea, which is that... do I have another idea? Do I have another idea? What is my other idea? Jeez, I don't think I have another idea. Oops. Yeah, I can do that, but... there already has to be an arrow there. I mean, could I already get an arrow up there right now? Seems like a bit of a challenge, right? To get an arrow up there. Up here. Like, I'd say definitely an available move would be to do something like this. And then get this arrow here. Again, we meet the exact same problem where... to push right, we now are unable to even access that point. So like, I think this block has to be used in some way for that exact purpose. Alright. So... Could I afford to lose a block? No. I was thinking if, you know, if I could have this block be here and then this block be here, pushing right with an arrow as a buffer would technically not get the arrow stuck on the wall, but it would, because, you know, that does count as being stuck on a wall. So no, there's no point in putting that down there. Does this mean that I have to get both arrows over on the same pass? Or is there some magical situation where I don't? If one arrow gets in here, either falls here or it falls... I mean, it would be nice if it fell into the other slot. But how... Oh. Yeah, well, no, that's entirely possible. Hold on. Yeah, why don't I just do that? Alright, let's see if I can show you this concept. So you want this. We want this, and then we want a separation by doing that. Do I want to have this block be here? It's kind of iffy. We know that this move was good. And then this move is fine. And then it looks like this move is a failure move, because how do I get this block out? But it's actually really easy. By pushing this block down, you can actually get that in first. And then this block can be pulled back out. There you go. And I think this is a repeatable process. Ooh, hold on. Repeatable meaning I have to do the exact same set of moves. So yeah, why am I not doing that exact same set of moves? No idea. Alright, hold on. I gotta move you guys out of the way first. These two blocks are now supposed to be separate. Hold on. Let's get you out of the way somewhat. That looks like an okay move. Alright. So we start with this. We do exactly what we did before, which is, I think, something that looked like this. And I think we're basically done. Okay, there you go. Alright. The maze. That is definitely one... I think I'm supposed to construct a maze here. Alright, I think that's gonna be it for this episode. I don't think I want to dive into this one just yet. This one looks a lot more complicated. If anything, I would say this looks a lot like how level 7 would feel like. So yeah, maybe we'll spend the next episode doing this entire level on its own. I don't know. We'll see. Until then though, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.